we're going to talk about multiplying mixed numbers. But before we get into mixed numbers, suppose you had this problem. 2 plus 3 times, 4 plus 5. You cannot just multiply the first numbers and then add on the product of the second numbers. That would be 23. But we all know that 2 plus 3 is 5, and that 4 plus 5 is 9, and when we multiply them, we get 45. So it doesn't work. I'm going to make it clear in a moment, I hope, why I'm showing you this. So suppose we want to multiply 3 and 5/8 by 2 and 4/7. Remember, 3 and 5/8 means 3 plus 5/8, and 2 and 4/7 mean 2 plus 4/7. Now, let's just not concentrate on that for a moment. A lot of students would say, oh, this is simple. 3 times 2 is 6, and then multiply the two fractions and get, well, 4 goes into both of these numbers, and get 5 over 14, 5 times 1 over 2 times 7, and say, I'm done. But there's a problem here. We just multiplied the first numbers, and we multiplied the second numbers, and then we added them together. 3 times 2 is 6, plus, when you multiply the two fractions, you get 5 over 14, which is 6 and 5/14. This doesn't work. It didn't work with those numbers, so that doesn't work. Okay? Sometimes I think it's valuable to point out why something doesn't work, rather than just saying, oh, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because it really doesn't work. So let us do that problem. If you have 3 and 5/8, and you want to multiply this by 2 and 4/7. The way to do this is to write this as an improper fraction, or a fraction, and to write this as a fraction. Turns out they'll be improper, but sometimes they won't be. 8 times 3 is 24, and when you add on 5, you get 29 over 8. Times 7 times 2 is 14. Add on 4 more, you get 18 over 7. And I can see how I can reduce. These two numbers are both even. 4 goes into them. That's the most that we can do. Now, 29 times 9 is 261, and 4 times 27 is 28. Now, if somebody gives you two mixed numbers to multiply, it'd be nice if you gave back the answer in the same format. So how many times does 28 go into 261? That is, I want to write that number as a mixed number. Well, let's look at 28 times 8. That's 160, 224. 6. Yep, 224. And 28 times 9 is 271, I'm pretty sure. 70, well, it can't be that. 280, 262, I apologize. Should be 262. Let's see if I'm right. 9 times 8 is 72. 18. 9 times 2 is 18 plus 7 is 25. Yes, it's 25. So we can only take away 9 of them. You take away 252, and 61 minus 52 is 9. So the answer is going to be 9 and 9/28, unless we can reduce that, and we can't. So it's 9 and 9/28. How do I know we can't reduce this? The only numbers that go into 9 other than 1 will be 3 and 9. 3 doesn't go in here. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 10 is too big. Well, if 3 doesn't go into this number, 9 won't go in. Okay, so that's their final answer. Convert the mixed number to an improper fraction, and then do the multiplication. If there's 2 mixed numbers, convert both of them. What do you get if you multiply these numbers? Well, this number, 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 more is 14 over 5, times 8 times 7 is 56, plus 1 more is 57 over 8. Now 2 goes into both of these numbers 4 times and 7 times. I don't see any other reducing going on. 7 times 57 is 399. Divided by 5 times 4. Okay, so we do the division. You should know that 20 times 20 is 400. So it's going to be just below 20. It's going to be 19 something. 20 times 1 is 20. We subtract, we get 19. Bring this down. 20 times 9 is 180. We're left with 19. So it's really close to 20. You'd have to add 1 over 20. So this would become 20 over 20, which is 1 plus the 19. So it's very close to 20. So the answer is 19 and 19/20. Another thing is, this is 1 less than 20/20. So it's going to be 19 and not 20/20, but 1 less than 20 over 20. 19 over 20. Okay, but that's advanced. I can just look at this and say that's the answer. One day, you too will be able to do that. Now, what if you have 3 times 7 and 2/5? Well, 3 is 3. If you like, you can think of it as 3 over 1. That's your call. Times this mixed number, 35, plus 2, that's 37 over 5. 3 times 37 is 90, is 111, either over 5 or over 1 times 5, which is 5. Now, you can do 5 into this number. Goes in 2 times, that's 10. 1 left over, bring down the 1. It goes 2 times with 1 left over. 22 and 1/5. So if somebody asks you, what do you get when you multiply those two numbers? You tell them 22 and 1/5. Suppose you have 2/3 times 1 4/5. Well, 2/3 is already a fraction. And as promised, it doesn't have to be improper. But this one is a mixed number. We need to convert it. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 is 9/5. 3 goes into both of those numbers 1 and 3 times. 2 times 3, 6 over 1 times 5. 5 goes into 6 one time with 1 left over, and that leftover gets divided by 5. If you want to see it the long way, fine. 5 into 6 goes 1 time. 1 times 5 is 5. You subtract, you get 1. That remainder gets divided by 5. 1 1/5. And I would double check it. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 1 more is 6/5. Yep, that's what I got here. Possibly arriving at 6/5 was wrong, but I checked. 6/5 is 1 1/5. Now we do one more. 7 2/3 times 5 1/4. We have to have two fractions. No mixed numbers. 21 plus 2 more, 23/3. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21/4. 3 and 21. 3 goes into those numbers. 23 times 7 is 161 divided by 4. I mean, you should know that 4 times 40 is 160. So it's going to go in 40 times, and this number on top is 1 more than 160. But we can do it the long way. 4 into 16 goes 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. I subtract, I get 0. I bring down the 1. 4, this number is 1 now. 4 into 1 does go. It goes 0 times. 4 times 0 is 0. The remainder is 1. That remainder gets divided by the 4. So, yep, that's right. And we can check it. 4 times 40 is 160. Plus 1 more is 161 over the 4. Got it. Hopefully everything else was right. But this we were able to check. Now, here's a quick check. This number, 7, is less than that number, and 5 is less than that number. And when you multiply 7 times 5, which is 35, the answer should be larger. This number is bigger than 7. This number is bigger than 5. So if 7 times 5 is 35, these bigger numbers should end up to be more than 35. Okay. This is 3. This is more than 7. 3 times 7, which is 21, is less than 3 times 7 2/5. And our number was bigger than 21. Shouldn't be crazy bigger than 21, but it shouldn't be less than 21. This number is bounded by 2. That is, 2 is the first whole number below it, and this by 7. 2 times 7 is 14. This number here should be between 14, and here's another technique, an additional step. This is 3 is just above this number, and 8 is just above 7 1/8. That multiplies out to 24. Our answer should be in between 14 and 24. So this number, it may be wrong, but it's reasonable. If we got 27, we would say, nope, it's wrong. I'm going to keep this 3, but the upper bound would be 8. 8 is bigger than that number. 3 times 8 is 24. The answer should be between 21 and 24. And that is what it is. 22 and a fifth is in between. Now, the lower bound here is 0, and the lower bound here is 1. 0 times 1 is 1. So our answer should be between 1 and the integer right above this is 1, and the first integer right above 1 and 4/5 is 2. And when I multiply that, I get 2. So my answer should be between 1 and 2. Yep. 1 and the fifth is a good bet. An upper bound for this number would be 8. And the first integer above 5 1/4 is 6. And when I multiply those, I get 48. And the first integer below 7 2/3 is 7. And 5 1/4 is 5. The answer should be between those two numbers. A fairly easy check. Yep, this may be the answer. All I'm saying is, if you got 48 1/4, it has to be wrong. And assuming you didn't make a mistake with the lower and upper bound, this has to be wrong. It's not in between 35 and 48. Okay, so I'd go back and find my error. First, I would check to see if I didn't make a mistake on the bounds. And then if I didn't, I would say, no, 48 1/4, it must be wrong. Okay, this finishes the video on multiplying mixed numbers.